Hi friends, today we're going to talk about finding the slope of a line when you have 2 points that are given to you. Now, there's a separate video and it talks about finding the slope of a line when you're given the equation of the line. It's important to know both methods, but we're just going to talk about when you have 2 points in this video. All right, I've got an equation for you here, and it is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, m is the letter that we use to represent slope. And remember, slope tells us the way the line changes as we move left to right. And so a positive slope goes up from left to right. That's positive. A negative slope goes down as we move from left to right. And the number tells us how steep it is, either in the positive or the negative direction. All right, so we can calculate slope from 2 points. Now my equation has x2, y2, all that in it. That is going to come from the points that we are given. So that will be, the first point is made up of x1, y1. The second point is made up of x2, y2. Now, a lot of students will ask, how do I know which point is point 1 and which point is point 2? I'm going to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter. You can choose whichever one you want to be point 1 and point 2, as long as you're consistent. Point 1 has to be made up of x1, y1. Let me show you what I mean. So if I have 2 points, and I'm going to say I have the point 2, 3 and 0, 8. Truth is, I can choose either one of these to be point 1 or point 2. Doesn't matter. I'm going to say the first one is point 1 and the second one is point 2. And I'm just going to write below the coordinates x1, y1, x2, y2. And I do that just to keep myself organized. Okay? Now, if I want to find the slope of the line between these 2 points, I'll just plug into the formula. So I'll write m equals to represent slope, and I'm going to have a fraction. And on the top of that fraction, I will have y2 minus y1. Now remember from how I labeled my points, y2 is 8. And I'm going to subtract off y1, which is 3. All right, looks like I accidentally labeled my point 1 with x2, y2. Huge mistake. That was actually x1, y1. So, all right, 8 minus 3 in the numerator, and in the denominator, we would have x2, which is 0, minus x1, which is 2. So I'd have 8 minus 3 over 0 minus 2. Well, 8 minus 3 is just 5, and 0 minus 2 is negative 2. So I would have a slope of 5 over negative 2. That negative in the denominator, turns out it can be written 3 different places, but we tend to do it in one. We tend to write it out in front of the fraction. But it means the same thing if we have the 2 in the denominator, or the 2 in the numerator, or out front, as long as we just have one negative total. All right, so my slope would be negative 5/2 of the line that goes between those 2 points. So it would be going down from left to right. And if we had this, then we could use it to create a line that goes through those 2 points, and we'll do that in another video. All right, let's look at another example. What if I have negative 3, negative 1, and 1, 4 as my 2 points, and I want to find the slope of the line between them? All right, I'm carefully going to label x1 and y1. So negative 3, negative 1 will be x1, y1. And 1, 4 will be x2, y2. So the slope of the line between them, I'll write m equals and we're going to fill in. Now be careful with those negatives. We want to use our formula exactly. So we'll start with y2, which is 4, and I'm going to subtract off y1, which is -1. I'm putting that -1 in parentheses so that I don't lose its negative. So I would have 4 minus -1 in the numerator. In the denominator, I'm going to have x2, which is 1, and we'll subtract off x1, which is -3. All right, so I have 4 minus -1 over 1 minus -3. Let's simplify that. So I have 4 minus -1, which is 4 plus 1, or 5. And then 1 minus -3, which would be 1 plus 3, or 4. So my slope is 5 over 4. That would be a positive slope. It would go up from left to right. All right, let's look at one more. Let's say I have the point point 2, -4, and -1, -3. All right, let's label our points, or our coordinates. So x1 would be 2, y1 is -4, x2 is -1, and y2 is -3. Again, be careful with those negatives. So m equals, my slope is equal to, y2 is -3, so -3 minus y1, which is -4. x2 is -1, and minus x1, which is 2. All right, -3 plus 4 would be +1. -1 minus 2 is -3. So I have 1 over -3, which is -1/3. Now, on your slope, we generally leave it as an improper fraction if the number in the numerator is larger. We don't usually write slope as a mixed number. We just leave it as that improper fraction. If the fraction can be reduced, though, we definitely reduce that fraction. All right? In another video, we will talk about using the slope of the line to write the equation of a line.